What is up, my friends? Welcome to John Smoltz Day here on Flippin' Bats, where every single week, no matter where we are, no matter what he's doing, which is calling the ALCS right now, the Hall of Famer John Smoltz is going to join us here on the show. A lot to talk about this week, mostly about the ALCS that he's calling, Mariners Jays. It's currently, as we speak, the travel day, 2-0 Mariners is what that series sits at. So we're going to talk to him all about that series. I guess it's not technically the travel day. It's Wednesday. They play today. So it's the day of game 3. We'll talk to him all about that series, what Cal Raleigh is going through right now. It looks like he's really going through it. Looked like he injured himself the other day on a play and then struggled from there. So going to talk to John Smoltz, who's boots on the ground. What are you hearing about Cal Raleigh? How is he doing? How is he feeling? Same sort of thing with Bryan Woo. When might we see Bryan Woo in this series? How is he going to be used by the Seattle Mariners? Also, the Jays offense. Why are we seeing this Jays offense that was the hottest offense on the planet, the best offense in baseball in the postseason, and from May 1st on? And where have they gone? Is it all Seattle Mariners pitching? Has he seen a different approach at the plate from them? We'll talk about the ALCS as a whole and what he is seeing there. On the National League side of things, the NLCS, the rotation has been incredible. And I've seen a lot of, this might be the greatest rotation that we've ever seen at this point in the year. And one pushback that I might give would be Smoltz, Glavine, and Maddox. So what I'm going to ask John Smoltz is to pick one postseason rotation. Snell, Yamamoto, Ohtani, Glasnow, or Smoltz, Glavine, Maddox, and Avery. And we'll see what he says. And then we'll talk a little bit about the NLCS as well. But this is going to be a lot of fun. The playoffs have been absolutely incredible. The NLCS Game 2 was just last night. So each series is 2-0. 2-0 Dodgers as that shifts back to LA, and 2-0 Seattle as that series shifts to Seattle and starts here tonight on Wednesday night. That crowd is going to be something to look out for. I'm going to ask Smoltz as well what he's been hearing on that. Because in the regular season, when Seattle plays Toronto, it's close to about 50-50, a little bit of an advantage for the Mariners. What are we going to look like this in the playoffs? Are they going to be able to alleviate Jays fans from getting a lot of tickets? We'll talk through all that. But these playoffs have been awesome. I hope you all have enjoyed them as much as I have. And I'm excited now to talk to John Smoltz about everything going on, including about that turkey he ate live on air the other day and how good that tasted. But appreciate you all for watching and listening. Remember, Flippin' Bats is presented by FanDuel. Bet baseball with us all season long on America's #1 sportsbook. Without further ado, let's welcome him in now, the Hall of Famer from the Atlanta Braves, John Smoltz. All right, and I am pumped to be joined, as we are every single week, by the Hall of Famer John Smoltz, who is in the thick of the ALCS. John, how we doing?
Well, we're all the way in the opposite coast now, in an environment that is going to be, I don't know that I will have broadcast a louder environment, a more hungrier crowd than Seattle.
Wow. Well, I was going to ask you about the crowd in the regular season in Seattle. This crowd, when they play the Jays, is typically about 50-50, maybe a little bit of a favor towards the Mariners. The playoff crowd that we have seen in Seattle has been insane. What have you heard about what this crowd is going to be like? Are they able to curb some of the Jays fans from getting tickets? How's that going to work out?
Yeah, that's going to be a great question, but I don't think it's going to be anywhere close to where it was as a regular season. You're talking about the word never, been to the World Series. They're on the brink of something that they've been waiting for a long time. And look, Game 3 can be an easy trap game for Seattle being up 2-0, but no one would have predicted this after Game 5 with all that they had to do, where they had to travel. It really is remarkable. And look, they're facing a really gritty Toronto team. And unfortunately, I've been part of this scenario where only 3 teams who lost their first 2 home games went on to win the series as the team that had the home game. So the Yankees, 1996, last team to do it.
What has been the reason, coming into this series? It was Mariners starting pitching. obviously coming off that 15-inning game, so a bit of a disadvantage there. And the hot Blue Jays offense, hottest offense in Major League Baseball from May on, in the playoffs, nobody really close. Is it, in your opinion, the dominant Mariners pitching that we have seen, or is it something you're seeing from their offensive approach? Where has the Blue Jays offense gone to this point?
Yeah, they're a rhythm offense, right? And they were in rhythm, no doubt. If they had kept playing and there was no off days, I don't know if anyone would have beat them. It's that simple. That's what offense and timing does for a team. They're better when they get runners on. They click and they make misery for other pitchers. Well, in that first inning, you could simply say in game one, that's what turned. They hit a home run on the first pitch. They had first and second, one out. That was where they do their thing. From that point on, it's been null and void. It's been unbelievable. And timing and a good fortune of hot pitching is taking care of some good hittings on both sides of the league. When you have a rhythm
Mhm.
offense that doesn't strike out, but maybe is aggressive and making a lot of quick outs, the other team gets in a rhythm. So it can easily switch on you. And that's the thing about the Toronto Blue Jays. They swept the Mariners for whatever it's worth in the regular season in Seattle. They're not phased by it. They know what their offense can do, but they gave Seattle a chance to reset their pitching, which is a dangerous thing when you think about how well they pitched.
You're there on the call in person. From watching, seeing that play where Cal Raleigh came out from behind the plate the other day, made an awesome play, but went down. And just from picking up on things from there, obviously he winced after that. Every AB after that looked a little uncomfortable as well. You're on the ground, boots on the ground, talking to people, I'm sure. What's Cal Raleigh going through? How is he feeling? Is he okay? It just looks like he's going through it right now, which makes sense that he is.
Oh man, does it ever? I don't know. He's the heart and soul of the team.
Mhm.
They say he's the number one guy for wanting to win. He's caught a million innings. And yes, you could DH him, but then you take away a little bit of what he can do behind the plate. Looked like at first I thought he pulled his groin,
Yeah.
or had a stretch that just wasn't normal. So, the travel and time, the adrenaline of being in the game, certainly if he never gets a hit, he's better in for behind the plate, right? But he's got to be able to do his duties. And I hope that, for baseball's sake, this guy who's had the unbelievable year, and he will tell you, I'm sure he'll tell you, just like I would have told you in 96, the greatest year I personally had ended miserably. And we didn't win the World Series, and it felt like a void. I'm sure he will say the same thing, that his year was not complete if they don't get to the World Series and win it.
Yeah. When he was catching the other day and behind the plate, and they were up 7 runs going into the last 2 innings. And I thought to myself, man, I get it. It's the playoffs, but he's coming off 15 innings, then traveling to
Yeah.
Canada. If I were Dan Wilson, I think get him off his legs for the last 2 innings. And every Mariners fan, I tweeted that. Every Mariners fan was like, good luck with that. He ain't coming out of the game no
Yeah.
matter what.
No, he's not. And again, the way that he prepares, talking to Dan Wilson, said he'd never seen anything like it. Unselfish and certainly, I maintain what I say. If he was another position player and you put up his numbers against Aaron Judge would win the MVP. But because he's a catcher, because of all the attributes that he brings to the field, I don't think it's apples to apples. And I personally think he should win the MVP. But it's going to be a hard case for him at the end. But I'm sure he doesn't care if the Seattle Mariners get to do something they've never done. Yes, getting to the World Series is part one, but winning the World Series is the ultimate
Yeah.
satisfaction.
Yeah. Last one for you on this series, mostly this series, because obviously you're covering the ALCS. When it comes to the Mariners pitching, obviously Brian Wu being out, he was an all-star, has been a big deal. He's on the ALCS roster. There's been talks of how he's going to be used throughout the rest of the series. What are you hearing about how Brian Wu is going to be used here?
Yeah, it'll be later in the series. If there's a
Okay.
game five, it won't be deep. I anticipate maybe he starts and throws 2, 3 innings. His fastball is electric and he pitches mainly off his fastball. So that's a good thing. He's not going to rely on the touch of his secondary pitches per se, but it's another arm and it's another weapon. Their bullpen is so good. Um, It's amazing to think what they've accomplished. Going into this series, they hadn't scored more than 3 runs, but one time, and that was against Detroit in that game where they broke open. So if they score at all, and I mean, if you get a 3-run homer, it's kind of hard to lose. If you get two
Yeah.
3-run homers, no one in the history's lost a playoff game. So that formula remains the same. But if they could just battle with this really good offense of Toronto and do half of what they do based on the pitching strength that they have, they're going to win this series. If they don't, then Toronto has a chance to silence their offense and win closer games.
Yep. Yep, absolutely. John, on the NLCS side of things, there's been a lot of talk about this Dodgers rotation and how great it is, and it's one of the best playoff rotations we've ever seen. So I need you to pick one playoff rotation. Snell, Yamamoto, Otani, Glasnow, or Smoltz, Glavine, Maddox, Avery.
Well, I mean, it's not a fair fight. These guys are so much better with their stuff, right? I mean, they look. If you ask me over the long haul, I'm picking us 100% of the time. We stayed healthy and we had the track record.
Yep.
But now that Snell's broken through, and now that he's broken through his mold of never pitching more than 5 innings, and now he's at the elite level, and everyone's been waiting for this for a long time, and he's shown now he's healthier. But the biggest thing about this staff is they haven't had health on their side.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. But if you talk about one individual year, it's hands down the Dodgers. It's not even close because you know how I feel about Otani, and he's just sparingly going to be used,
Yeah.
right? And he's sparingly. Oh, by the way, he might pitch Game 4, or they've got an ace in the hole whenever they want it. But Yamamoto, to me, and I said this when he first got last year. I know he didn't have the kind of year that everyone anticipated, but this year has been a complete year. This guy has levels of dominance and a calmness about him that is second to none. And he pitches a complete game. What does he do? He upstarts upstages his teammate. That's what's a great rotation when you have a guy that's so dominant that the other team is facing you knowing it's going to be easier than what they faced, and it's not. That's a pretty good stat.
I don't know. Sometimes, John, I just don't feel like you give yourself enough credit. You're one of the greatest playoff pitchers of all time.
Well, I mean, I'll take myself against anybody. I believe in it. But the thing that we did back then, and again, people forget. I mean, we're throwing 256 innings in the regular season, then 40 innings in the postseason. So these guys are fresher because they haven't pitched as deep in the regular season. They've all been hurt, and good for them. This is what the Dodgers built. They built a staff so that they could not rely on their bullpen, which was beat up last year, and it is paying off big time. This is not a perfect formula every year to say, oh, we'll just baby these guys, and when we'll get to the postseason, they'll be ready. You got to start getting those injuries behind you and not have this come up all the time. So good for them, good for Snell, and now Glasnow has the chance to do the same thing. He hasn't been healthy. He's never thrown over 130 innings. He's got a chance to make everybody forget about what he hasn't done for the Dodgers innings wise and come up huge for their chance to win back-to-back championships.
Yeah, and we talked about it before these playoffs started. It's going to be interesting watching Dave Roberts with a team that's really completely opposite of what it was last year. Last year, it was like, okay, we'll get into the bullpen and we'll figure it out. And he was going to have to manage differently this year. He needed length out of his starters. And to his credit so far, he's done exactly that. He's leaned on his guys. He's let them go further than maybe he or them are comfortable. And it has worked out fantastic so far.
This is what it's all about, though. This is why baseball has slowly shown you what you can do when you get away from the numbers and the pure strategy on paper. This is why the Los Angeles Dodgers put this staff together after last year knowing what they had to do and what they did to those guys. On paper, this is the filthiest staff in baseball, 1 through 12. But on paper, they had what? At some point, $100 million on the IL.
Yeah.
Like that still on paper doesn't work. Now they've had the fortunate ability to be good enough to sustain that. Sure, they didn't get the best record in baseball. Who cares now at this point? Because they knew when they got to the postseason, even on the road, they were going to be a tough out. So he looks a little bit calmer until he has to go to his bullpen. But what a luxury that is for a manager to know you're going to get sustained greatness. And if you don't score, you lose. If you score, you win.
Yep. Well, John, always appreciate it, my friend. Keep calling a great ALCS. It's a lot of fun to watch. What was the deal with that turkey you had to eat on TV the other day? Was that any good?
It was actually very delicious. It was I was mesmerized by seeing Joe Davis carve a turkey and call a game. And I still couldn't believe, with the precision that he was cutting it and then calling the game. So I was like, this is pretty amazing. And the turkey was actually really, really good.
That's great. John, always appreciate the time, my friend. Talk to you next week.
My pleasure. Yep.
All right, just wanted to thank John again for joining us here on the show, as he does every single week. Truly, truly appreciate it. And good getting his insight. Cool to hear him talking about the Jays offense. I thought when I asked the question, it would be it's the Seattle Mariners pitching, 100%. And I think it is, right? It is to a degree, and that's the obvious answer. The Mariners pitching is just fantastic. But there is also a degree of the Jays' approach has been different. They are hot. When they're hot, they're hot. When they're not, they're not. And it was interesting hearing him answer that the downtime and the off days when they were hot, I think, has hurt an offense that has to keep it rolling, and they just haven't to this point. But a really good conversation, fun conversation as always with him. Please make sure you subscribe wherever you watch it. Watch us on our YouTube channel, Flippin' Bats Pod. Leave a comment, like the video. All of that does really help. So check out our YouTube channel wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple, Spotify, wherever, and check us out on our social media at Flippin' Bats Pod everywhere. But I love hopping in the comments on YouTube, talking to you guys, kind of continuing the episode and the conversation in there. So if you never have, go to our YouTube channel, subscribe, check it out. Really appreciate it. Enjoy this fantastic weekend of baseball. A lot of good stuff coming up. Another episode of Flippin' Bats will be coming out here soon. We're going to break down everything happening, and soon enough, I'm going to be on the road to the World Series. So a lot happening still. We're coming down the home stretch. The 2025 is the year of Flippin' Bats, my friends, and it rolls on. Until next time, find your bat and flip it.